Right, here we go. The result of Cole Palmer's scan on his injury. Of course, we've seen him withdrawn from the England squad. Perhaps some updates on other injuries as well. Carney Chukwuemeka, is he going to stay at Dortmund? John Obi Mikel backing Maresca, shocking Chelsea fans, talking about the style positively. Edson Alvarez, Mexican report suggesting he could actually go to Chelsea after Chelsea targeted him prior to his West Ham move. A little bit of striker talk as well. Jonathan David, of course, a free transfer in the summer. Chelsea have looked at him, still considering him amid the stories, of course, Liam Delap. I want to look at the Jonathan David stats a little bit as well, because he just keeps scoring, bro. Do you know what I mean? And maybe if we have time, a little bit on this Jadon Sancho story, of course, going around the media, suggesting that Chelsea could pay a little fee to send him back to Man United to not have the obligation to buy him. So, guys, welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I do hope you're doing well, as always. I really do hope that. And yes, welcome to Chelsea news, of which there's a lot I want to get through today. So strap yourselves in. I'll thank you always for supporting the content here on Football Therapy, and you can do so simply by liking this video. It takes a millisecond of your existence, and it helps me out, man. And if you do want to subscribe, you are welcome to, and hit the bell if you choose to. Alright, mate. Lovely stuff. Shout out to everyone who's been enjoying the collabs. Of course, so far I spoke to Alex Goldberg, Matisse. I've been chatting to Joey. I'm going to get him on. Benson. Nini, definitely. Maybe Eunice. I know time zones are all a bit different at the moment. Just sort of spread them out throughout the international break, or certainly till Chelsea next play, which is a long time, actually. So yeah, check those out if you want to see some collabs. We're just talking about the state of Chelsea and how we all feel, because lest we forget, gang, this is Football Therapy. Now, let's get into some injury stuff first. I'm going to tell you an exclusive update from Cy Phillips, who of course gets good Chelsea information. But first of all, I'm going to use the Mirror for some information of individual player return dates and injuries. Starting off with young Mark Gu, of course, rather peculiarly, our second choice striker in terms of how things worked out in the end. He's got a thigh and hamstring injury. Of course, he got injured the final day of the transfer window, like Nico Jackson. Quote saying from the Chelsea manager, Mark Gu, unfortunately, it's a bad injury. It could be long term. We're still waiting, but it doesn't look like a short term injury. It's a long injury, probably weeks or months. We may not see Mark Gu for the rest of the season. Now, really big injury for us, of course, is the underappreciated Nico Jackson, who has a hamstring injury, and he like you was in the same game. A little bit unfortunate for Chelsea, of course, on the day the transfer window closes, but you know, how's your luck? He will be out until the international break, but he should return afterwards, and hopefully he'll be fit and firing after the international break ends, and we seriously need him. Really sad to see Amari Kellyman, the 19-year-old midfielder, who's only played 35 minutes for Chelsea's under-21s. He's had a re-injury, and he's out for the season. I actually feel bad for the kid. Of course, when we signed Kellyman, there was this like whole thing of it was some creative accounting with Aston Villa and Chelsea. We sold them Martson for a slightly inflated fee. They sold us Amari Kellyman. You know, he's like a talented young player, but for like best part of £20 million, slightly inflated fee, all things considered. But because they were both academy products, it was, you know, a bit of a PSR hack, pure profit exchange. You saw a lot of clubs doing this, actually. So Chelsea did it, and Aston Villa did it together. I do feel bad for him, though, because apparently he's a very good player, and we haven't seen him yet. Noni Madueke, of course, like Nico Jackson, is expected back after the international break. Also, he's got a hamstring injury like Nico, so hopefully these men are good to go. Of course, Mykhailo Mudryk is provisionally banned. Now, let's talk about Cole Palmer. Chelsea's star man, the star boy, who looked like football was so easy for him, and he just thought it was funny how easy it was. Like I said, he went from penenkering penalties to complete hat tricks just for a laugh. scoring 4 goals in multiple games for Chelsea's. Heck, in one of the games, it was in the first half, he scored 4 goals. This kid looked like he can do it all. Passing, goal scoring, yada, yada, yada. And like I said, he went from audacious Panenka penalties to complete hat-tricks to looking very fearful before his Leicester City penalty miss. And he's just, quite frankly, been off the boil. I know we've all seen the stats where he's been creating an insane amount of chances, yet hasn't had an assist since December, which, of course, you have to put down to the finishing at Chelsea, his teammates, the forwards, or whoever's just at the end of the balls that he passes. But still, he's been off the boil, you'd have to say. So, Chelsea.news writes about Palmer here. Palmer has a break to rest and recover, of course. It's already been decided he won't join up with England, and Morgan Gibbs-White, of course, has taken his place in the squad. Chelsea still have more than 2 weeks before their next fixture, so there is an exceptionally long time for the key man to rest, both mentally and physically. After a season and a half with the Euros in the middle, he did look a bit burnt out. And it has been exclusively revealed from Simon Phillips on his Substack, the results of a scan, and it says, it's come back all clear. No hamstring injury like that, nothing niggling or really worried to talk about. Palmer's scan has come back positive, or is it negative when something's come back medically? It's come back good. It's the good result. Alright, we're going to rattle through some stuff here because there's a lot of stuff that I've picked out of the footballing media at large that I want to chat to you, man, about. Quickly, Carney Chukwuemeka, of course, on loan at Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund have they've decided against activating their Chelsea's 35 million euro option to buy, which actually is getting less and less. It's gone for 40 million pounds, which is like 47 million euros or something like that. Now it's down to 35 million euros, which is about just under, best part of 30 million quid. So it's going down all the time. They have opted against it, but a second loan remains possible if they secure European football. Of course, Dortmund having a difficult campaign out in the Bundesliga. If they secure European football, I suppose, Conference League? Then they might get a loan for him, which I still think is good. He's a baller, Carney Chukwuemeka, another young player we got from Aston Villa. Struggling with injury issues. Possibly struggling with loan issues as well. We'll see what happens with Khans. Right, John Obi Mikel has been speaking a lot on his podcast, for better or for worse. I do enjoy it a lot of the time. Chelsea fans often find themselves torn on how he's speaking about certain things. First of all, he's like, this is Chelsea, Champions League, Premier League winners. This is what we got to be. Nothing else, essentially. So a lot of Chelsea fans have been like, yeah, I back him. And then he comes out and he, waxes lyrical about the sporting directors, Paul Winstanley and stuff. And then he maybe loses a little bit of the backing of certain Chelsea fans. But I must say, he's come out with a bit of a blinder this time. I'm actually citing Cy Phillips again, his news website. He quotes Mikel saying, I think he's speaking about Enzo Maresca, the Chelsea manager. John Obi says this: I think he's a manager that has improved the squad from where we were when we took over. I agree in elements about that. I think the way the team play now, you can see a bit more of an identity. True, but how good is that identity, gang? The way fans want to see Chelsea team play. Pump the brakes. We'll get onto that. And he managed to do that in a short space of time, but I think finishing in the top 4 is going to be where everyone is going to judge him this season, because I think we need to finish in the top 4/top 5. Right. Firstly, I'd like to say, I don't think Chelsea fans have a sense of entitlement of how we play. We've never been like the fancy dans, the tiki-taka. We've always just been big, strong fighters and win by all costs, and we've been blessed at times to play attacking football. For me, most notably under Carlo into 2010. And, scored Drogba and Lampard absolutely exploded under Ancelotti. Look, there is the whole benign possession thing. Like, Chelsea fans used to chant F sorry ball when we were passing it around the back. And lately, this is what we've been seeing. Very look. No matter what your position on Maresca is, I personally quite like a lot about him. I think it's been very poor lately, and of course this can't carry on. It needs to get better for us to be sustainably good. You know, the tacticos or the people the boffins who do analysis that say if you want to win a league, you need to have a sense of control in games, especially in the modern landscape of football. You can't have high risk transitional football. Klopp found that out. Yeah, the one season Klopp won a Premier League was more controlled. Arne Slot's going to win a Premier League with Klopp's team because it's more of a controlled style. You can't have basically Pochettino is and never was going to win a Premier League. You might like him because we scored a bunch of goals, even if we conceded a load. You might like him because he's a good guy. He was never destined to win a Premier League. In fact, he screwed up winning Ligue 1 with PSG, which was absolutely crazy. I like Pochettino as a guy, and I'm not saying Maresca is going to definitely be the one for Chelsea, but objectively, in the modern landscape of top-end Premier League football, you need a sense of control to win games. It's just the way things are. You're welcome to disagree with me. Fine. The last time Chelsea won the league, we were playing under Antonio Conte. One of the most controlling style of football than ever. The last time we won the Champions League, Thomas Tuchel, one of the most pragmatic, controlling managers ever in terms of game state. It's just what we need to do. But so obviously it's boring AF, and for Mikel to come out and say that after we've watched some of the most turgid and literally like brain-meltingly boring football that you will ever see. And maybe he's thinking of the whole season, but I still don't know Maresca's full, and I kind of know in theory, but I need to see in practice of his vision of Chelsea. His players are fit, they're the right profile, they've learned a little bit more he wants. You've got Levi Colwill coming out saying he's light years ahead of every other coach. Right, well, let's see that, please. I'm not completely sold on him, but I'm absolutely no position to say Maresca out because that's just literally going to create more nonsense for us. And it's not that bad, is it? Because we still could qualify for the Champions League. And we're on for an 100% win record for the moment, in the Conference League, which again, I quite like. I want to win it. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, Mikel making more enemies for himself there, saying this is the football that the Chelsea fans want to see. Oh, I just hit my mic. Look, just really quickly then, let's rattle through some stuff. Look, Jadon Sancho, we'll talk about him very, very quickly. There are, of course, even now, the big journos, whether it's Ornstein, Romano, or whoever you want to say thinks reputable. There is a situation where Chelsea when someone has an obligation to buy, there will be a fee to not buy. If they don't take up the obligation for some reason, there will be like a fee of breaking a contract, which with anything, like, it's still good for Man United because they get the asset back. They've obviously got the loan fee. Chelsea pay a contribution to his wage. He's on very high wages, 250k a week. Chelsea would have paid maybe half of that to Man United. So Man United will get a player back that maybe is in better fitness, a bit more motivated, and they've made a bit of money out of Chelsea for the season. Like I said, the loan fee and the penalty fee for sending him back. Now, this does exist by all accounts. I have no idea how much it is. Maybe it just sort of doubles the loan fee, or maybe it's a few million quid, maybe it's £1 million. Maybe you could speculate. I've been very firm. I like Sancho as a player when he's playing well. I think his attitude's been fine in terms of just getting on with it when he gets subbed, head down, just running straight off, being a positive guy. Obviously, he's just trying to find a landing spot. He's not confident, but I have a little bit of sympathy because in this period of time where he's being heavily criticised by the football fandom at large, it's when we've, as a club, as a team, have been bad. It's when Cole Palmer has been awful as well. Do you know what I mean? In that time, recently, Jadon Sancho did well to win a penalty for Cole Palmer that Palmer missed. Understandably, Cole Palmer's got loads of goodwill in the bank, but I kind of almost want to see Chelsea play well again, how Sancho's doing with the team in better form. He's obviously not going to be an Eden Hazard to raise our levels, but I'm going to follow that story, so keep it locked. Right, Edson Alvarez. Okay, there's Nacional Football, Mexican publication, talking about how Chelsea could be re-interested in the 27-year-old defensive midfielder. Now, this is very interesting indeed. Of course, we nearly bought him before we bought Caicedo. The Edson Alvarez, he was like Ugarte, of course, now is at Man United. These were different central defensive midfield options Chelsea were looking at prior to landing on Moises Caicedo for a record fee, but he's mustard. He's absolutely brilliant, Caicedo, so I'm glad he's a Chelsea player. But of course, there's no backup. We've got that kid from Sporting maybe coming, but like I said, this national Mexican sports publication, literally, it was yesterday, but late. Was it yesterday? Late yesterday? Yesterday-ish or in the night. I said, yes, Chelsea are looking at him. We've looked at him before. He is 27, so he would go against us signing fetuses. And he's been kind of a good player for West Ham. Chelsea, apparently, is saying we could re-enter the interest for him. We'll see what happens there. I saw it aggregated on a few news outlets, but I mean, I'm not entirely sure that's what we want. Apologies, I got an Amazon delivery, and it's just completely taken my train of thought off. Look, let's talk about Jonathan David, shall we? Because this guy, he's been like one of the weird, like the wonders of the footballing world. This Canadian striker that's like historically, consistently scored a lot of goals. He really has. I'm going to quickly look at his history on who scored in terms of previous seasons, because he's playing in the top 5 league, Liga. A lot of people, criticize Liga, Farmers League. I mean, they did win the title, Lille, didn't they? Was he still playing when they won? But just want to have a look, because it is a top 5 league, and although it's not as good as the Premier League, stylistically, there are parallels with the Premier League, like physicality and speed. So this season for Lille, the 25-year-old striker, who's a free transfer, who can play as an attacking midfielder or a striker. This season, in the Champions League, in 8 appearances, or in 740 minutes, he has 7 goals and 2 assists, 9 Champions League goal involvements in 8 appearances. In the league, he's got 14 league goals and 3 assists. Last season in the league, 19 goals and 4 assists. The season before that in the league, so 22-23 season, 24 goals and 4 assists. The season before that, 15 goals. The season before that, 13 goals. He's still very young then. He's consistently got well over double digits. In some instances, 24 league goals, 19 league goals. He's on for, again, if he keeps scoring, best part of 20 league goals, maybe more. I don't know. He's doing very, very well. He's consistently a very, very good scorer. And he's a free transfer, and he's not a child. He's 25. He's in the sweet spot. Why is no one picking this guy up? It has been reported historically that Chelsea are talking about him. I just wonder, I do wonder. And look, I'll talk about generally strikers in just a moment and other options, but let's have a look at his X value, because it is interesting. His shooting is very, very strong. As you see, his heat map, actually his heat map's kind of perfect, because he's a striker, he plays everywhere. He obviously likes to be in the box, which this heat map, this glow here, my friends, is a rarity for Chelsea. It doesn't exist. We simply, especially in the absence of Jackson, no one's there. No one ever. But he's kind of this left pocket here, which granted in Maresca's system that has an Enzo Fernandez or someone going in, but for an attacker to operate a bit more slightly on the left is good, because Cole Palmer's about here, and then we got a right winger as well. So it kind of works in terms of the space being occupied. His performance chart, as you can see here, shooting, assisting, passing, aerials, pretty good. Obviously, recoveries are slow. I'd like him to be a little bit better with aerials for a striker, and obviously he's not so much a dribbler. He's an all-round finisher mainly, and a little bit of a target man, which sounds good to me. I mean, all-round finisher is music to a Chelsea fan's ears. Makes loads of passes in the final third. I mean, this is kind of just a really positive striker play. I just want to look at his advanced stats here. And also, I might look at the 22-23 season when he absolutely popped off. His expected goals per 90 is in the 98th percentile across other strikers in Europe, which of course is immensely strong. Non-penalty 92, again very, very strong. 25-year-old just consistently being good, good at closing 1-2s, essentially receiving the ball, give and goes. Now, let's have a look at his really strong season. I believe that's 22-23. Yeah, as you can see here, absolutely popped off. 98th percentile again for goals, non-penalty goals, expected assists, very high, non-penalty, yeah, basically good with cutbacks as well. Just really strong striker play. Now, not the best in the world, but I feel like what's really good is he's just consistent. Do you know what I mean? Like he's just always scored goals. He's 25, and for 5 years he's just always scored consistently. He's never not scored, which for me seems a little bit like a blessing. And I think most notably, free transfer. He's not going to re-sign with Lille. Surely not in the next month. He's going, I'm going to go sign somewhere for free, get a sign-on fee. So how free is free? But I mean, Jonathan David and Nico Jackson, I wouldn't be mad at that. I do feel like I'm a little bit like Despo at the moment. I'll just sort of take anyone. You know, I understand if Victor Osimhen and the wages, whatever, might be a problem. I'd like him to join. I'd like Victor Gyökeres to join. I'm not massive on Benjamin Sesko. I do understand how he's a really good striker profile, and he's like a Liam Delap. Do you know what I mean? I know it's not sexy, but I would rather Liam Delap personally. I've spoken about that quite openly before. Like, you know, in the same way, I'm not going to say he's going to be Cole Palmer, but I was really excited about Cole Palmer, and I got loads of grief on it. Worked out, didn't it? Similarly, I'm not saying, you know, Delap's going to have like Palmer success, but I really like him as a player, and I'd like him. But Jonathan David, a bit more senior, 3 or 4 years older than Delap, still very young, and just constantly scored in the top 5 league. He's just been banging in the Champions League as well. For those of you who go, oh, it was a Farmers League. He got 7 goals in the Champions League, you know, before Lille were knocked out in the first knockout round. But that's not his fault, is it? Very interesting indeed, man. Bit of a longer video today, solo video. So let me know what you think. Comment down below. Yes, there's a lot of stuff I wanted to rattle through, so hopefully you found it interesting, and if you did, why not like the video and subscribe? And I do hope to see you, man, back here, or woman, but let's be real, man, back here very soon. Take care, peace.